ourselves thinking about someone's passing, an animal, a friend, or you think about talking about money or physics, why a plane stays in the air, or which of these might be a little difficult for you to have a conversation about. And if none of these topics or no topic is difficult for you, you can go ahead and select D. Okay, so it looks like a few of you have answered. Most of you seem to have more difficulty with death and physics. So it sounds like we have some professionals in the room with me today about talking about money, which is great. I love to be around others who feel comfortable about this subject. So I'm going to share with you then the tips that I have found to be helpful when having these conversations. And I've definitely worked to make these tips just helpful and useful, no matter if you are a beginner in talking about money or if you are an expert. It never hurts to hear someone else's ideas and see what you can gain in terms of making sure your own stories and presenting can um, be enhanced. All right. Okay, share. All right. Technical difficulties always seem to happen when you least need them. Gonna stop sharing and try again. All right. So a few pointers. Some of you, maybe all of you, are familiar with the law of reciprocity. You may not know it specifically called that, but you may be familiar with people who say what goes around comes around, or the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Um, Sometimes people talk about karma, or doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. All of those are different ways of talking about the law of reciprocity. And why is that important? Because I think it's a good way to pave the how we have and think about conversations about money. Um, it's a way to think about how can I be sharing information that might be of value to someone, not so much so that you can get something in return, because perhaps that person doesn't have something that they're going to give you in that particular moment, but because it's the right thing to do. If you have expertise, you have experience, you have knowledge that can be very valuable to those around you. And so I think one of the ways to deal with fixing some of the stigmas around money is for more of us to really embrace the topic and have more open discussions about it. Um, we often think about people making a difference in lives, like right now, our nurses, our janitors, all across the country, those who are working hard during COVID-19, saving lives, being at risk. But there's also other ways to make a difference, and sharing the knowledge that you have can be equally powerful in the right context and to the right people. So I really encourage you to think of talking about money as a way of paying it forward, as a kindness, so that others can benefit from the knowledge that you have. Sometimes people just need a little help or a little guidance. They're not always looking for experts. They're not looking for you to have a PhD in economics or have a bachelor's degree in accounting, or having taught this subject for many years. They're looking for someone that they can share their experience with, get a little insight. And so if that can help you put your mind at ease, it's really important to think about talking about money as if you're providing a safe space for people to have a difficult conversation or address difficult issues. None of us can be an expert on of someone else's life. We each are unique individuals. And so what I really want you to do is think about how can you make talking about money more helpful for yourself as well as for the person or the people that you're addressing. And again, these can be kids, these can be other adults, these can be your clients at work, your colleagues, these can be your parents. The important thing is to be able to accept that people can make different decisions from the ones that you would otherwise make with the same information or the same resources. And don't be afraid to share your experiences because it humanizes you. It humanizes all of us. So first things first, what is money? It is this very important item, right? Many of us don't even like to leave our houses in this day and age when we can leave it without our ID and our wallet. We need to make sure we either have a credit card or a $20 bill. Some of you may be like myself, and I actually keep like a $20 in my car because I'm like, you never know when you're going to run out of gas, and then all of a sudden you'll be on some in the middle of nowhere and realize that you left your wallet at home. And so, you know, some of you may just be like me, like putting money here and there and finding it brings you great joy. So I recently heard a story of someone who found $17 in their coat pocket, and they were so excited because they were able, that was unexpected, and they were able to use that money and treat themselves to a little extra food. So how do you think about money, you yourself? And that's a good starting point. The thing that a lot of us, I think, sometimes forget is that money is a tool. It's really a medium of exchange. It's a resource. It's an early form of technology. But it's really the value in money really comes from the fact that, especially paper money, that a number of people have agreed that it is valuable and it is supported by our government, which we trust. So money in itself really has no intrinsic value. It's essentially a fabric, a piece of fabric. You know, money is made of 75% cotton, 25% linen. So it's really fabric with images on it. Images with numbers and with former presidents and important people and places. And so part of this is to help you reduce your fears as you think about talking about money. It isn't a big bad wolf or a venomous spider, and you know it's easier to do it the more you do it. So it is a case of practice does help. The more you talk about money, the easier it becomes. So let's say you are skilled at talking about money with adults, but right now, because of COVID-19, you're finding yourself at home with either your own children, or maybe you're doing a lot of video chats with nieces and nephews or the children of friends to give them a break. And you realize that you have never spoken about money with kids, or you're not quite sure how to approach it. Never shy away from talking about money with kids. The biggest thing that research says is to talk to kids honestly. So be truthful with them. You know, consider sharing an age-appropriate story or asking them a question. So my story for this is, I remember when my son was 4 and we were in a retail store. It was Wackenfuss, and I was attempting to purchase a box of candies for a friend that we were going to visit. And my son saw this great like train setup and was always a big fan of trains. And he said, "Mommy, I'm going to buy this train." I said, "Sweetheart, you have way too many trains." And he said, "No, I really want to buy this train." I said, "Okay, you can buy it with your own money." And he said to me, "Give me your purse." I said, "No, sweetheart, the money, mommy's purse is mommy's." You have to figure out how to get your own money to purchase. And so that's how we started the discussion. And he's like, well, how do I get my own money? And so we started talking about, you know, jobs, opportunities to make money when you're small, and really have a discussion in the car ride on the way home. So there are even videos out there today on YouTube Kids and things like that that will give you an opportunity to even show them that there are some educational components. They can learn addition and subtraction as you're talking to them about money. I found this one because young kids do like sounds and songs and things of that nature.
Whoa.
So we're going to play this for you.
Power stars. Can you help me count?
And so this is Jack Hartman's Kids Music, and he has a music song.
Nickel, dime, quarter, let's learn. Penny, nickel, dime, quarter, let's learn. Money, money, money in my pocket. Money, money, I know how to count it. Money, money, money in my pocket. Money, money, I know how to count it. What's it worth? How much is a penny? 1 cent. How much is a nickel? 5 cents. How much is a dime? 10 cents. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. How much is a penny? 1 cent. How much is a nickel? 5 cents. How much is a dime? 10 cents. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. Money, money, money in my pocket. Money, money, I know how to count it. Money, money, money in my pocket. Money, money, I know how to count it.
And so I just wanted to play that for you to get a chance to see that there are some fun things out there, and you can definitely give them an opportunity to give yourself an opportunity to browse what's out there, especially on kids YouTube, where you're less likely to run into inappropriate content. So one other thing you can do is just create a creative activity for them, so that gives them the opportunity to feel included and to better understand what this money thing is all about. You can give them an assignment to draw their own money, and you can talk to them about the things that they are putting on their own money and how they would use it. You can even ask them to, if they are a writer already, a 3rd or 4th grader, etc., you can ask them to write an essay on life as a $20 bill or as a quarter. These are some of the things my mom used to give me in the summers when I was in the 3rd and 4th grade growing up. She wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to practice my writing skills over the summer, but she didn't want to make a whole lot of work for herself. So once a week, she would assign me a little essay and say, write about life as a fish. I need 5 pages in a composition book. And then at the end of the week, I would turn it in and she would give me my next topic. So that's one really good way to think about how to talk to kids about money. Just make it like talking to them about math or science or anything else. A really big win, some of us really love those energetic ways in which kids will gravitate towards something. Have a contest. So once COVID-19 became a strong reality in our household, one of the things we've been doing is daily scavenger hunts, Monday through Friday. It's a way to get the kids moving. It's a way to, again, reinforce the knowledge they need. I do have younger children. About things that begin with the letter S, or find things in the house that have the shape of a triangle. But it's a way for them to run around the house and find some things. And at the end, we give them a piece of Halloween candy. There's no right or wrong. I do help correct any spelling errors. We have a few minor rules about it. But you can certainly create some sort of contest Perhaps you have younger kids draw and write about a money superhero. Everyone loves superheroes. They could come up with what a money superhero's power would be and how that person would save the world. For older kids, you can start really talking to them about money management, and you don't even have to use at the individual level. You could have them research the budgets at different nonprofits and really talk about the different buckets. You can get a lot of that information from annual reports for nonprofits and other organizations. So just, it does require some creativity, but again, there's lots of suggestions that you can Google. If you have teachers in your lives, you can ask them about advice on being creative. The biggest thing is just to also provide a prize, because that's really what the kids are working towards, right? So an easy one might be the kids in your house who participate get to request their favorite ice cream treat on the next grocery pickup or delivery. Or the kids who participate get to pick the movie for movie night on Wednesday, and then the other kid gets to do it next week, Thursday, or whatever it may be. So you don't have to come up with really large scale ideas. Just look around, think about what you're already doing and how you can use the things you're doing to your advantage. One thing I would recommend, if you do have more than one child in your home or that you'd be doing this with, don't have them compete against each other. Either give them deliverables for each of them or have them work as a team. And just keep it simple, keep it fun, and then you will enjoy the experience. So I did want to give some words of caution. There is no one way to talk about money, but there can be several ways in which you impede your own success when talking with children. One of the biggest concerns I hear from parents is I don't want to tell my kids how much I make for a variety of reasons, and that's okay. And here I've put an example. The child says, "Hey, mommy, how much money do you make?" As a parent, you can say, "I don't like to talk about how much money I make. However, I can tell you that I love the people I help, or I love the people I work with, or something positive about the job that you do." And then you can say, "People doing my job start out making $30,000 a year, sometimes make $30,000 a year." You can frame it in a variety of different ways. I'm just encouraging you not to say, "I do not like talking about money," full stop, because this often teaches children that everything about money is then not open for discussion. And the reality is that you are raising kids to be adults, and you want them to be able to feel comfortable eventually on their own having conversations with you about money so that they can be informed adults when they are older. So just be careful on your phrasing, and provide opportunities to talk about areas around money that you're more comfortable with. So what about if you have a teenager or teenagers? This gets a little easier because you'll have several opportunities to engage with them. If you have a teen who is starting to think about a part-time job, or about making money, or looking for to have discussions with you about their career choices, what they want to do, that's a great time in which you can start to slowly infuse some conversations about money. Also, when you're giving them an allowance, it's important to discuss the financial expectations and discuss some basic money management skills. This doesn't mean that you have to bring out a large budget and talk about mortgage and utilities and car payments. because teenagers are not quite ready for that, and they're already got, especially the younger ones, they've usually got a lot just dealing with all the other changes that come with being a teenager. But you can still set up a small, simple budget. You can talk to them about, here's your allowance. I expect you to use it to pay for your bus or metro passes. I expect you to use it to pay for any overages on the cell phone bill that's with your phone. I expect you to take your family out, take us all out once a month to a budget-friendly place. But the idea here is to help them get the idea that they are receiving some sort of income, and then they have to think about the decisions that they get to make with that income within an area that they're familiar with. So it builds trust, it builds confidence, and it's a really good way to start getting teens engaged with the concepts of money, with the ideas of career choice, so that as they're growing, it becomes a little bit more second nature for them. So how do you, how else can you sort of get a big picture or big win with teens? I know you're going to be like, oh, that's, that's not going to happen in my house. But a lot of families are finding success with good old-fashioned board games. Let's be honest, teens are probably going to grumble no matter what you choose to do. But the stories we're hearing is you do it often, after a while, it actually becomes fun. It can give your teen an excuse to spend time at home. Maybe they don't want to hang out with friends this particular Wednesday. They can say, "Oh, yeah, know what? It's Wednesday night Monopoly at my house, and I can't get out of it." And that's what they may say to their friend, but they probably enjoy doing it eventually, if not right away. So some of the most of us are familiar with Monopoly and Monopoly Junior, but there are some other games out there. There's the Sub Shop game. um, Dave Ramsey has a game as well called Act Your Wage. FINRA has Moneytopia, which you can do online. And then I wanted to show you, even just searching, you're probably spending a lot of time on the internet. You can go to Amazon, type in money games for kids, and right here we had this one pop up when I did it, managing my allowance. And it's set up, it seems, a lot like Monopoly. You have money, you have some coins. The board has things like thank Uncle Jesse for his birthday gift, or Grandma Louise sent you a $50 gift, or graduation gift, or you want to buy a tennis racket. So it really gives kids an opportunity. Here we have a simple sort of financial record. They have to write down the price of things and use this information just to basically have an understanding of how money works and how it can be valuable to them. And that game that I found was $25. Again, you can set your parameters in Amazon or eBay or wherever you normally do your shopping. But there are lots of, again, opportunities. And if you don't want to bring another thing into your house, maybe you're a minimalist, you can also look online. This stock market game is a really popular game for parents and teachers. And you can do this even as a parent with your child at home. So you can read the FAQs. Does your child have to be part of a team? It's recommended, but not required. Can all my children in my house be one team? Yes. What if I don't know about investing? That's the point of the game. So you're going to get some background and some information. How do I get started, etc. So you can scroll down, and the stock market game has been going on now for a number of years and has been a very successful way for parents and kids and teachers. And you can share this with clients as well, customers, to feel better engaged about money. So you might think family board games will torture your kids, but there are worse ways for them to feel tortured, and you can even reward them with any things you think that might make sense for their survival. So talking with kids can be scary, and that's okay. One of the important things you probably hear a lot is do not do all the talking. So craft a few open-ended questions. Below I've written, I've always wondered how much a video gamer makes per game. What do you think? The teens often say, I don't know. And then you have to say, seriously, I would love to know. What do you think? And, slowly try and get what you can out of them. Don't forget to share a personal experience or two that they can relate to. And especially in those stories, don't necessarily make yourself sound perfect when you were their age, but really kind of show them that you were a teen one day, and dinosaurs were not alive back then, that you can have some information you can share and they might find cool and interesting. And don't stop at one conversation. Talking about money isn't just I do it and I cross it off my checklist. You can set some short follow-ups, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes once a month, and then set a timer so that you do not go over the allotted time without getting permission from the children, the teens. But just, hey, what's going on? Have you thought more about when we talked about what you'd like to do when you graduate? And, we started talking about income. What are some of the, questions you might have, and go from there. The important thing is to try and make it a conversation, not another lecture. And it's important to realize that even if your teens are saying nothing, it does not mean they aren't listening. My story there is he was about 13, 14 years old, one of my dearest friends I've known for a good long time. I asked if I could take her oldest son to Maryland Day at the University of Maryland. And so she said, sure, it'd be nice to be down one less kid for a day. She is 3. And so my husband and I took him with us, and we took him to Maryland Day, and they had lots of activities, and you got to be on the campus. It was a beautiful day. And it was just fun. And we were showing him, different parts of the university, different opportunities that were there, and just trying to have a conversation. And he didn't talk a whole lot. And I remember texting his mom and saying, how can I know if we should bring him home or if he's having fun? And she's like, I've learned with him that I won't know if he liked something until 2 weeks after the experience. And so just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll let you know in 2 weeks. And so in 2 weeks, she's like, he can't stop talking to his friends about Maryland and how he thinks that might be where he wants to go to college, and things of that nature. And this was especially important because he would be a first generation, and he did actually start at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore this past fall, first generation college student for his family. So you never know what those little nuggets might be planting with teens. Just be patient. So what if you have someone who is not a teen, is not a kid, but still has some growing up to do? With them, we really encourage open-ended questions and to practice reflective listening. So reflective listening is really a communication strategy. It works great in a lot of different environments, when you're talking with peers, when you're talking with management, even when you're talking with your partners. So you seek to understand what the speaker is saying to you, And then you offer that idea back in your own words to the speaker to confirm that what you think they said um, is correct. And so I really do encourage you to really listen and think about making sure you clarify with them that you are hearing or understanding what they are communicating. Ask young adults about their peers and not just how are all your friends doing, but hey, how's Jenna from the from Starbucks doing? Is she still working at Starbucks? Is she liking it? How's Peter doing? I know you said Peter was helping his father with some roofing. Is he still doing that? But really important to show engagement um, and work to find a project that you can do with them. It can be something like researching the cost of housing and utilities in a city they're thinking about moving to or relocating to live, whether it be for school or permanently. Um, but use this as an opportunity to see how you guys can get on the same page as they continue to plan their future. Here I would like to stress reliable sources of information. So really working with them, maybe visiting the local library, uh, currently online together and asking a librarian online for recommendations in terms of what types of sources you might be able to rely on for some really good information, but really help them understand and show that you're not just willing to work with them to, fix a car and make it shiny and new again, but you're also, or make craft projects, but you're also willing to work with them on figuring out the mechanics of different aspects of adulting. Um, a big win here with young adults is really showing interest in the things that interest them and then giving them a chance to educate you. Um, the young man I talked about earlier, who, like I said, started university in fall, one of the funniest experiences was he had to go back to campus a couple of weeks before most of the students in January because he was going to do a mini master course. And his mom came with him to get settled. And she said to him at one point, well, the dining rooms are not going to be open. And you certainly cannot live off of ordering food, for 3 whole weeks for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what are you going to do? What are you going to eat? And he was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And she's like, well, let's go to a grocery store and see what we can do. And so they made that an activity. And she shared with me that as they were doing that, he was like, wow, it's a lot of expense and a lot of work. You cook all our food. And she's like, yep. Oh, you have to plan this stuff out in advance? A list is helpful. There was so much that conversation and that project and opportunity provided. So think about those opportunities because I'm sure they do exist for you. When talking with young adults, do not assume. Do not assume that they are getting conversations about money at school. Do not assume that they'll automatically get it. For some people, understanding money and money concepts is not easy. It's like a left brain, right brain thing. And the biggest thing there is to make sure you help them understand some good, reliable resources and ways in which they can have trust in being able to manage their money or finding the right people to help them manage their money. And just because someone says they have a bank account does not necessarily mean they still don't need to have conversations about money. First of all, savings accounts are checking accounts, are not checking accounts, excuse me. And so they could have a savings account, but they may still never have had a checking account. They may have a checking account, but they may only think about it in terms of their debit card and maybe are not looking at their monthly statements and transactions. So it's really important for you to ask questions, but to really use everyday opportunities to explore conversations about money with young adults. And the biggest thing is to listen and listen some more and to ask follow-up questions. Um, so what about mature adults? Uh, this is often going to be about helping them maintain their independence. Um, they, in general, are a cohort that are known for being less likely to want to talk to you about their money. So make sure you are very adept and skillful at the framing of your questions. It may be better to say, how are you doing paying your bills these days? Or what kind of challenges are making it harder for you to think about retirement? And see how you can get some nuggets out of those types of questions. It's really important to warm them up. You know, you don't just jump into a conversation about money because then they get suspicious and perhaps not a bad thing for them to be. It's important for you to think about how can you make sure this is an easy conversation, one that they will want to willingly engaging. And so here again, questions about their first job, or their first apartment, and memories or experiences of different financial crises they've lived through. Right now, we're all thinking about 2019 coronavirus, I'm sorry, 2020 coronavirus. Some of us are still thinking back to the Great Recession in 2008. Some of us think back to 9/11. But there are even other financial difficult times that have occurred. Typically, every decade, we have at least one. So really ask them, maybe what was their first financial crisis? How did they handle it? And so really use what's going on now perhaps as a way to open that gap. Um, Make time to have those conversations. They don't want to feel rushed. So maybe sit down and enjoy a cup of tea. Maybe do an interview that you can keep as a personal keepsake, where you say, hey, you know what, I'd love to be able to talk to you about living in the 1980s when XYZ event happened. And would you mind if I record it so that I can keep it and reflect back on it in the years to come? One of the big win ideas here is really piggybacking off of a favorite non-stressful time. So a lot of mature adults you may enjoy cooking for you. I know that, when my mom feels like things are hard, she really is like COVID-19, she's like, I'm gonna fry you some dumplings and make you some Ackee saltfish and drop it off so that you can have that. And it feels good, but that's one thing she enjoys doing. And so if there's an opportunity to engage in playing card games or whatever usually brings you together with this person, and do that activity and then have the conversation around that. That can be helpful as well. Don't forget to share a few stories of your own so that it's not one-sided, and never hesitate to ask for advice, even if you do not think you need it, because none of us are perfect. And so someone might share something with you that you never thought of, you hadn't considered, or it might just be a refreshing reminder of something you already knew but you had stopped doing. So have it be a two-way conversation. Do not say things that may alienate them or make them feel incompetent. Nobody likes that. No kids, no teens, adults don't either. You don't like it when someone tries to make it seem like you don't know what you're talking about. So be careful, and again, choosing the words and your conversation style. And if you are going to introduce topics around money, make sure you're doing it in a private, comfortable setting. You never want to be, back in the day, you might think, oh, I'm going to take my father to a baseball game, and then I'll see what his thoughts are on retirement. He may not feel that comfortable expressing those thoughts in such a public venue, even if everyone is focused on their own conversations. So try to set up a time frame that makes sense for both of you to have those conversations. So you've had to listen to me talk a lot and provide some of my tips and suggestions to help you have these conversations. And I wanted to also provide some additional resources. So we're going to take a look at a few of these. If you are not familiar with the Cash Campaign of Maryland, you can visit our website. You can Google Cash Campaign of Maryland or visit cashmd.org, where you can learn more about us, the work we do, financial education, free tax preparation, benefits screening. We have a lot of information that we're trying to keep up to date with for everyone with regard to how COVID-19 is impacting certain situations and opportunities. You are joining us on this class, so you're probably familiar with Maryland Cash Academy. But if you haven't spent any time here, this is another good resource for you to use. You can go to the resource section and find articles and information about different topics related to financial education, like bankruptcy, budgeting, small business, student loans. You click on the topic of interest to you. You'll see some links for additional information and just a way for you to think about how can I beef up my knowledge, understanding, and awareness of a particular topic. Insurance is always one that, goes in one ear, comes out the other for me. The Maryland Insurance Department has a number of great resources that you can visit and use to make those conversations easier. So I really just wanted to make sure you are aware of both of those resources that we have here at the Cash Campaign. If you would like to continue talking about money and you're looking for other sources beyond us, we do highly recommend the FDIC Money Smart program. It is a really good way to teach, learn, or implement, and this is for a variety of different young adult and older adults. I'm going to play this welcome a little bit.
Welcome to the FDIC's Money Smart program. Money Smart products have been developed in English and Spanish to help provide free and reliable information to help people strengthen their financial skills. To better address the unique needs of different age groups, our curriculum has versions for young people, adults, and older adults. These products cover topics such as effectively using bank accounts and developing positive credit relationships. They also offer tips for you to use in making better informed financial decisions. If you are looking to learn more about money, explore our podcast, an online learning tool that is designed for you to listen to.
So that again gives you an opportunity to see what options might be available to you. The FDIC, if you're not already familiar with them, it stands for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and they have been insuring deposits at financial institutions and banks since 1933. So they're the bank regulators. They make sure the money you put in your bank stays in your bank. And some of you may already be familiar. Sue mentioned it in my title. I am the Bank On Maryland Program Manager. And Bank On Maryland is a nationwide effort to bring to improve banking access across the country and doing it at local levels. So the Cities for Financial Empowerment in New York and the Cash Campaign of Maryland sponsor the Bank On Maryland initiative here. We have a few institutions that are committed to improving banking access and that are part of Bank On Maryland. And they also have some resources that might be helpful for you. The first in alphabetical order is Bank of America. They do have a Better Money Habits page. This is so that you can learn different information about topics of interest, credit, debt, college, and so you can explore what additional information they have. What do you think you'd like to do while you're working and growing? Are you just starting out? And so you can visit, again, Bank of America, Better Money Habits, and see if that resource can be valuable for you. Chase Bank. Chase is newer to our state, and so you may not be as familiar with them here, but they do have a program that they call, or not a program, an opportunity to learn more about money in a series they call Chase Chats, and those are open conversations about money and how to help make the most of yours. So you can go online and you can pick the different types of conversations you'd like to learn more about. You can register for a live event. And if you go beyond that, it will take you to their on-demand, so their webcasts. So you can register, you can read some of the older ones that are on demand. So they have one here called Real Talk with Kids About Money. You'd have to register to get the information, but again, if that is an opportunity or a method of getting additional information or sharing it with some clients or peers, maybe some colleagues that you work with, that is an opportunity for you. We also partner with Destinations Credit Union, and their approach is they have what they call an Operation Hope Inside. So you can sign up for workshops. You can get the opportunity to meet with a planner one-on-one. But they also have financial planning as an important aspect of how you can feel comfortable about your money. And the last one is Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has a non-commercial website called Hands-On Banking. And here it talks about banking basics, life events, your business, and it's set up for different age groups. So you have seniors and military, you have adults and young adults. You even have high school, middle school, and an elementary school. And if you click on it, you can launch the course and see what types of topics and information might be helpful for your students, for your children. If you know a teacher who is looking for some extra information to impart to students, you could share this with them. If you have students or have friends who have students at home this summer, this might be a project where they can provide the opportunity for those kids to read and write about what they learned. And we went through this one already, the stock market game, which is, again, just an opportunity for people interested in learning to invest and how that works, and developing a better understanding of how investment decisions are made, deciding what risk levels they're at. So I really hope that these resources and that this webinar has been at least a little helpful. I've tried to provide you some tips as well as some documents that you can, on websites you can go back and take a look at. If you have any questions, you can write them in our chat box, and Sue will help me figure out if there are any questions we need to answer before we do our poll. Actually, why don't we do our poll, and then anytime that if there are any questions after that, we'll address them. So we would like to learn more. Would you like to learn more about podcasts and books about money? Would you like to have a question and answer with maybe a bunch of bankers on a panel? Do you want us to just keep doing what we're doing at Cash? Or would you like to learn more about life in banking and credit union industry? I feel like a lot of people are often still not sure. They know bankers have money and that they make money and they give money away, but there are other parts to the job of working at a financial institution. And so I'm going to encourage you guys to think about that. Sue, can you do the poll?
So I'm trying to and cannot. So maybe we could go back to that slide and have people put in the chat box their answers
Sure.
to that poll.
So you can do A for podcasts and books about money. You can do B for Q&A, bankers panel. You can do C for keep doing what works for cash. And you can do D, life in banking and credit union industry. So we're just trying to make sure we provide information that can be of use and value to as many participants as possible. So I'll leave this up for another second or two, and then I'll just let you know if you do have some follow-up questions after this podcast, how you can connect with us. All right.
So Kylie, we are seeing some 3 C's, an A, a B, and a D.
All right. So keep doing what works for us, but you like some of the other topics as well. Great. So email, you can reach me by email, Kylie Delgado at bankonmaryland@cashmd.org. You can find us on Facebook at Cash Maryland or typing in Cash Campaign of Maryland. And we're also on Twitter. We've actually been putting some little tidbits up on Twitter around financial education from different perspectives. So you can check us out at CashMD, also at MD Cash Academy. We hope that you have found this to be a helpful use of your time today. And Sue, do we have any questions before we wrap up?
No, we have a few more of the, want information, D's and C's and A's and stuff, but no other questions. So Kylie, thanks again for all this great information and the great discussion that you brought to us today. And this will be recorded and put on the Cash Academy's website probably by early next week. So you can access it there if you'd like to re-review it. So everybody, again, thanks for joining us today, spending time with us on this great topic. I am going to end this meeting, but I hope everyone stays safe. So have a great rest of the day.
Stay safe, everyone.